My name is Margaret Lewis. I am 58 years old, and I live by myself in a quiet little house near the sea, in a town called Hastings. Life here is calm, sometimes too calm. My husband passed away almost a decade ago, and since then, the house has felt larger and emptier with every passing year. I have only one child, a son. His name is Andrew. Andrew moved abroad many years ago. He settled in Australia, built a new life, and started a family of his own. He has a loving wife and 2 young children. From what he tells me, his life is comfortable. He owns a beautiful home, works a stable job, and seems content. I am glad for him, truly. But while his world grew bigger, mine became smaller. My days all look the same. I wake up early, even though there is nowhere I need to be. I make my bed, wash the dishes, sweep the floors. I cook simple meals just for myself. When evening comes, I sit quietly, listening to the ticking clock and the distant sound of waves. No one knocks on my door. No one asks how my day was. Andrew rarely calls. Sometimes weeks go by with no word from him. Occasionally, he sends money in short messages saying, "Mom, I'm busy right now, but I'll visit soon." I read those words again and again. Soon never seems to arrive. Still, I wait. I love my son more than anything. In my bedroom, I keep old photographs of him as a child, his first school uniform, his crooked smile, his graduation day. Every morning, I look at those pictures and remember the boy who once held my hand and promised he would never leave me. One afternoon, as I was resting in my chair, I heard a knock at the door. At first, I thought I was imagining it. I opened the door slowly, and my heart skipped a beat. Standing there was Andrew. For a moment, I couldn't speak. "Andrew, is it really you?" I asked, my voice shaking. He smiled warmly. He looked older, but familiar. I wrapped my arms around him, tears falling freely down my face. He hugged me back and followed me inside. I made tea, just like I used to when he was young. We sat together, talking about small things. I asked about his wife, about the children. He said they were doing well. Then I asked the question that had been sitting heavy in my heart. "Why are you here?" He looked at me and said, "I missed you, Mom. You're alone here. I worry about you. I want you to come live with us." I didn't answer right away. He continued, gently but firmly, "You're getting older. This place isn't safe anymore. In Australia, you'll have everything you need. Your own room, family around you. The kids would love to have their grandmother." I looked around my small living room at the walls that held my memories. "But this is my home," I whispered. "I was born here. I built my life here. Your father lived and died in this house. I don't think I can leave it." Andrew's face became serious. "This house is falling apart. You deserve better. My wife agrees. We all want you with us." That night, after Andrew went to bed, I sat alone and thought deeply. My heart felt torn in two. I didn't want to leave everything I knew, but Andrew was my only son. Perhaps this was what mothers were meant to do, follow their children, even when it hurt. The next morning, Andrew spoke again. "Mom, we should sell this place. You won't need it anymore. The money can help you start fresh." He smiled at me, and I believed him. I agreed. The house was sold quickly. Andrew handled everything. I trusted him. I packed my belongings into one small suitcase. When we left for the airport together, my heart was heavy, but I told myself I was going toward love, not away from it. At the airport, Andrew stopped suddenly. "Mom, wait here," he said. "I'll get you a wheelchair. It's a long walk. I'll be back in 5 minutes." I nodded and sat down. 5 minutes passed. then 10. I wasn't worried at first. Airports are busy places. Lines are long. I told myself to be patient. 30 minutes passed. My hands began to tremble. I kept looking toward the entrance, hoping to see his face. People walked by, families laughing, couples holding hands, but Andrew did not return. 45 minutes. I felt a tight pain in my chest. He wouldn't leave me, I whispered to myself. He's my son. An hour passed. My breathing became shallow. Just then, a uniformed officer noticed me sitting alone. He approached gently. "Ma'am, are you waiting for someone?" "Yes," I said quickly. "My son. He went to get a wheelchair. We're traveling together." He asked if I had a picture. With shaking hands, I pulled Andrew's photo from my bag and showed him my ticket. "Please wait here," the officer said kindly. "I'll check for you." I waited again. When he returned, his expression had changed. He sat beside me and spoke softly. "Ma'am, I'm very sorry. Your son boarded the flight alone. The plane has already departed." Spray. I felt my world stop. "That's not possible," I said slowly. "He promised me. He loves me." The officer shook his head. I saw myself. He laughed. Tears poured down my face. My chest ached as if something inside me had shattered. The officer's eyes filled with tears too. "Some people forget what love means," he whispered. "My name is Margaret Lewis," I said quietly. He replied, "I'm Thomas Reed. You remind me of my mother. She passed away years ago." He paused, then said, "Please come with me. You shouldn't be alone tonight. My wife will welcome you." I hesitated, but exhaustion won. That night, strangers gave me warmth when my own son did not. His wife prepared food, spoke gently, and treated me with kindness. I cried alone in the room they gave me, mourning my son, my home, my past. The next morning, Thomas received a phone call. His face grew pale. He left the room to speak privately. What I didn't know then was this. The plane Andrew boarded had crashed. No one survived. Thomas chose not to tell me. He knew I still loved my son. I still prayed for him every night. Days turned into weeks. I stayed with Thomas and his wife. They cared for me like family. Slowly, their home became mine. I lost a son, but I gained a new one. Sometimes life takes away what we expect and gives us what we truly need. As the weeks passed, I began to settle into a rhythm I never expected to find again. Thomas made sure I never felt like a burden. Every morning, he asked if I had slept well. Every evening, his wife sat with me, listening to my stories as if they truly mattered. They never rushed me. They never made me feel unwanted. I still thought about Andrew every day. Even after the pain he caused, my heart refused to let go. A mother's love does not disappear so easily. Each night before sleep, I whispered a prayer for him, hoping he was safe, hoping one day I would see him again. Thomas noticed this. One evening, as we sat quietly, he asked, "Do you still pray for him?" I nodded. "He is my son. No matter what he did, he is still a part of me." Thomas lowered his eyes. I could see the weight he carried, a truth pressing heavily on his heart. But he said nothing. He chose kindness over cruelty, silence over suffering. Months later, my health began to improve. I smiled more. I laughed again. I helped in the kitchen. I watered the plants in the small garden. Neighbors greeted me like I belonged there. And for the first time since my husband's death, I felt safe. One afternoon, Thomas finally sat beside me, his voice shaking. He held my hand and said, "There is something I need to tell you." I looked at him calmly. I already know, I said softly. He froze. You know? I nodded. A mother feels these things. Andrew is gone, isn't he? Tears streamed down his face as he nodded. My heart ached, but strangely, I felt peace. Thank you for protecting me when I was weakest, I said. Thank you for loving me when my own child could not. That day, I cried not just for Andrew, but for all the mothers who wait at doors that never open, who believe promises that are never kept. I no longer dream of my old house. I no longer wait for phone calls that won't come. I live in the present now, surrounded by people who chose me. Andrew gave me life once, but Thomas gave me family. Sometimes, the people who abandon us make room for those who truly care. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe.